Why would any Israeli government, whether it's a Likud coalition or a Kadima coalition or a labor coalition, sit down and negotiate its right to exist? I don't think any country in the history of armed conflict has ever had to do that. So why should Israel?
Absolutely. I will.
Okay.
My question, I want to pick up on what the gentleman in the orange tie said. And so my question is a very practical one. Are you planning future trips to the U.S. and are you planning to talk to J Street and to meet with members of Congress and also to try and speak at some large synagogues in major metropolitan areas?
Okay, I'll start with that one. We will be here in, I guess, early March. We will be here in late March. We are presenting at the J Street conference. We will be during that week presenting to others. And that will be not just me, there will be others doing that, and we will increase the level of explore as much as we can. I must tell you that we are becoming extremely unpopular when we present to both right and left, because we sometimes measure the reaction, or we measure our success by being able to, present something that both can disagree on. That's a sign of a good deal in the middle. I'd like to talk about Hamas for a second. We completely oppose negotiating with Hamas as Hamas, and so would the Palestinian Authority oppose that particular view. Many of you do not know, but the only entity in the Arab world that has not accepted the Arab Peace Initiative is Hamas. So why would we propose an Israeli peace initiative to somebody who doesn't align themselves with the rest of the Arab world? Having said that, that's a very legalistic view. Certain things are happening in the past few months that we must not ignore. Hamas is becoming much more diverse in opinion than ever before. It has been weakened by recent events. And the voices in Hamas are very different. Second, Abu Mazen told us very clearly that the government, or the temporary government, is not chartered to negotiate. And therefore, the only thing that it is chartered to is to reach an agreement on moving to the elections and taking care of some of the issues in Gaza. It is not the legitimate negotiator on behalf of the Palestinians as we speak. The only body who is chartered to negotiate is the Palestinian Authority under him as president. And that is a very, very important differentiation than negotiating with Hamas. Last but not least, if you read very carefully what was said yesterday when the unification agreement has been announced, read Nabil Shah's message that says that the temporary unity government would comply with the terms of the quartet, which is in a way forcing the recognition of Israel, which has always been the PA view, on Hamas. So, do we want to negotiate with somebody who wants to doesn't recognize the state of Israel? No. Can we negotiate with the Palestinians today? Yes. Will it work through a bilateral negotiation effort? By God, it will fail. And this is why we say it's got to be through a regional arrangement. When we have the Saudis, the Turks, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Moroccans, the GCC countries, the responsible states of the Middle East, sitting in the room and helping the Palestinians and Israelis reach a regional agreement with the involvement of the international community. Only then shall we be able to outline the parameters of a regional agreement. Only then. Only when we stop dealing with the mechanics of who do we sit with, what do they think, how do they speak, and what do they want. So yes, Israel needs to negotiate with the Palestinian Authority. Yes, Israel must do so only through a regional context. And that's said not by Israelis like us. I will not disclose names of Palestinian leaders who tell us it is time for a regional approach. They recognize it themselves.
I have two questions. Is the Egyptian uprising and the turmoil in Syria, are these serious obstacles to reaching out to the people of those countries and the governments, or are they opportunities? And they're different. So how does this bear on your initiative? Have you and your colleagues have had serious conversations with the members of the Netanyahu government, and what has been their response?
Every discussion with the members of Netanyahu government is a serious one, because it touches upon the very deep essence of acknowledgement of the situation. But it is not just people of the Netanyahu government. These are people who came from the right-wing school of thought, who have been members of Herut and Likud for many, many years, and have come to the conclusions, the painful conclusion as far as they are concerned, that this is the solution to follow. So, in these conversations, we bring a regional perspective that is very much accepted by some thinkers in the government itself, who are so frustrated by the ongoing failure of the bilateral talks. And they say, why should we go to the same room with the Palestinians to go again and again and again and repeat again and again and again the same mistakes that have failed us so many times? We would like to do this in a different way. So they look at us as people who bring a very fresh approach. Can they go that far? Not yet. Will they? Reality will show. So this with respect to our interaction with the Netanyahu government, and we hope to see that intensifying. With respect to Syria and Egypt, look, it is heartbreaking to talk about any long-term peace when in the past few weeks, just the past few days, the Syrian government bombarded its own people. Israelis have never caused such damage in Syrian life in 65 years of conflict as the Syrian governments have inflicted upon their own people, both by Father Hafez Assad and by his son today. So to talk about extending a message of peace to the Syrian people is totally unrealistic as we speak today. Will we be extending a hand and a message to what we hope will come after the cruel regime of Bashar al-Assad? Definitely we will. We will definitely do that. But to do it today, there's nobody to talk to. With respect to Egypt, we have been to Egypt. We spoke to the Egyptian people, and we know about the turmoil that they are going through. They have to deal with issues that are far beyond, more acute to their existence than the Middle East peace process. We must be aware that Egypt is on the brink of a complete bankruptcy, lacking food and resources to feed its own people. So Egypt has a very different agenda, and while the volcano is still erupting, it will take some time until it settles. But we are 100% convinced that while the existing peace agreement will not be warmed up, we don't think it will be cancelled. Why? Because a cold-blooded analysis of the true long-term interests of the state of Egypt